If you've been following along, you saw yesterday that I'm working on a series of small portrait paintings that I'm going to be selling on my website. And one of the things I mentioned yesterday that I discussed was the color wheel. One of the big first videos I did, I talked about how I never pay attention to the color wheel. Well, I have started to pay attention. So these are the paintings that I started. They're not finished, but I'm just leaving them for now and giving it a little break. And I'm starting 5 more. And I'm going to be using the color wheel, and I thought we'd talk about that today. And I'd walk you through my process of getting started with the painting. I've already gessoed it because I covered that yesterday, how to gesso your artwork before you begin. I've picked out my colors, and let's talk about it, and then we're going to get started. So I've got my color wheel, and I'm super glad that I never threw it out. I've had it for years and I've never used it. And a lot of times I'm a minimalist, and I will donate things that I don't use, and I don't usually keep things. So I'm really happy that I kept this. I'm really happy that I bought it. And I was watching, I don't know if I was on Facebook, I was watching like a reel or whatever they're called on Facebook. And I saw this beautiful painting that this person did of a sheep. And they said that, one of the lessons they learned was that if you're doing a painting and you're not including like the opposite color or complementary color to that painting, then you're really missing out. Like your painting's going to be dull. And so when I started yesterday and I did those 5 paintings, and if you haven't seen it, I will include a link below to that video. But I thought, oh, well, I'll break out the color wheel and I'll use the opposite or the complementary color. And I love how it turned out. I think this is my favorite one so far. This one is my favorite one so far. I like the way I have her eyes. I love the colors. And I also really love this one. This is like almost like Frida Kahlo. I'm trying to do like a Frida Kahlo vibe, but I love the colors that I was very mindful about choosing. And so I thought today I'm going to really focus on choosing my colors before I paint. Usually I just grab paint and I color, and I have such a great time. I also learn, if you guys are like me, I learn by trial and error. I learn by doing. As an intuitive artist, I learn by doing, practicing, playing around, seeing what works for me and seeing what doesn't. I've never been interested in color theory. However, I guess as we evolve and we grow, we become interested in new things, because now I'm kind of interested in color theory and how it's going to help me with this new series of paintings that I'm going to be putting up on my website. So I today was very careful with choosing my colors, and I can't wait to share with you the colors I chose and show you how I use this color wheel. And if you have tips or tricks, please drop a comment below, because I've had some people make some great comments on my last video when I mentioned the color wheel. So I'm so appreciative of it. And it's so much fun to talk with people who are interested in what you're interested in and leaving the comments about the color wheel. So feel free to do that. I have not looked anything up, so I'm just going with the flow and using this color wheel. So I'm going to flip the camera over and I'm going to show you how I'm choosing my colors. And then I've gessoed all my paintings, so I'm going to get started in painting 5 more with a different color palette than that blue and that dark blue and pink. So let's do that, and I can't wait for you to join me. This is the color wheel I have. It's called the Pocket Color Wheel, A Guide to Mixing Color. So on this side, you just sort of spin it around and it shows like blue and red make purple, blue and yellow make green, violet and blue make this darker blue, red, violet, and white makes purple kind of colors, lavender, whatever you want to call it. So you can just use this to help you with color mixing. But it's this side that I find interesting, because it says here complementary, and it'll point to the opposite. You could see which color is the complementary color, and it kind of goes with what the lady was saying. If you're doing a painting and it's mainly green, you're missing out if you're not adding an element of purple to it, or violet, whatever color, whatever you want to call that. So I am really into green right now, And so I've chosen to use green. So I'm probably going to use green and some yellows in this painting. So if I'm using some green and yellow in the painting, it's probably what I'm going to do the background on. Then my complementary color is this violet or purpley color. So I've chosen some violet colors. I've also chosen this color, so these purpley violet colors. So these two and basically these sort of colors here. So that's what I'm going to get started with today. And of course, I'm going to use some dark gray. I've got white, black, and I'm going to map out these paintings to do another series of faces, but with a different color palette. So I'm going to have probably 10 paintings that I'm going to end up putting up on my website. And let's get started with this. So I have gessoed all of these, and interestingly enough, Bear decided to walk through them. And it's interesting that Bear, my cat, walked over it and got a little bit of gesso on his feet, because somebody the other day messaged me and said, left a comment asking me if gesso was toxic. So I looked it up, and I was pretty sure gesso is not toxic, because when my daughter was really young, I wanted to make sure to not use oil paints or any paints and products that were toxic to kids and pets. But since Bear decided to wander right across and I had to fix him up, I literally chased him around the house to wash his little feet. Even though it's not toxic, obviously I don't want my cat walking in it and getting sick, because he was sick a few years ago and had to have surgery, and it was a stomach problem. So got the gesso off of him, even though it's not toxic. And I had to double check to make sure it wasn't toxic. But the irony of someone asking me that, and then my cat deciding that he was going to do a little stroll right across everything. Okay, so everything is gessoed and cleaned off and gessoed again. And I am going to start with, I was going to start with a green, but I'm wondering if I should start with this beautiful, I don't usually use purple very often, but I think, why not? Let's do it. Let's do the purple, because it still goes with that green color. Because if I'm looking at this dark violet here, we've got the yellow and green. So I'm still good. So all I do when I start my painting, whenever I start a painting, you don't want to be concerned with that first layer after you add the gesso, because in my opinion, a painting should be lots of layers to create texture and just make it visually appealing. Like there's so many things you can see in a painting that you didn't notice the first time you looked at it. And again, I'm not covering every part of it because I'm going to be adding different colors, but as a series, I just want to make sure I get some of this color on every single painting. And normally I work on large canvases, but I think I'm really maybe preferring these small ones. And I think I mentioned this in the other one, I really love working on a variety of paintings at once, because then I can just keep that creative energy going and not be so overly focused on one painting and so overly focused on mistakes. If you've got a whole bunch of paintings going, usually I do too, but if you have a variety of paintings going, you don't get caught up on mistakes, or if you get stuck, you just move on to the next one and you start learning to let go of your mistakes or what you perceive to be mistakes. So that's the first purpley color I chose. And I think, do I want to add another purple? I think I might go with, I don't know if I want, I think I'll do another purple. I'm going to do this deep violet just to get started. And this is going to be faces again. I really had a lot of fun looking at some old paintings like from the past, and I shared that with you guys. I think I did some videos on it where I'm really into those old historical paintings over 100 years old that you can be inspired by, and they're copyright free. If you have to make sure you're looking at the right paintings that are copyright free, and you can print them out and trace them. And so I feel like I'm inspired to do some sort of that old vibe, that vibe that you see in those paintings that they did way back in the day. Now, of course, they were done, I'm pretty sure, in a variety. I don't know if they were done in acrylics. I think they were done with, like, the ones that I like were done in oil. But because I have pets, and when my daughter was little, I never wanted to have oils in my house. And also, I actually find that oils have a very strong scent. And maybe that's just me, but I can't stand the smell of oil paint. And maybe I'll do oil in the future if I have a place where there's really good ventilation. There's good ventilation here, but honestly, I don't really want to be doing a video where my neighbor can hear me chatting away on camera. Okay, I really like the way that looks. Look at that, gorgeous. I love those colors. Now I want to map in just where the faces are going to be, and I'm going to use this color. It's a greenish hue. It's called bronze yellow, and I'm just going to go with the flow and map in some faces. I'm not using any references, so I'm just going to play around with it and see what I can come up with. And because I'm not using a reference, I'm just, going easy on myself. this is as far as I've gotten today with my color choices for these small portrait paintings that I'm doing. I think this one right now is my absolute favorite. I love the way that looks. And here are the other ones that are basically works in progress, just mapping out the faces and trying to get the proportions right. Like her neck is too small, so I'm working on that. Her head's a little big for her body, so that's something I'm working on. And I love this lady too. I like the look on her face. And this lady here. So these are the faces for today based on my color wheel choices, which were, actually it's funny because it was the violet, it was this violet and green, but I know that the yellow color does go with it, but it's not exactly opposite. I'll be adding the green after because I'm going to be adding flowers to their hair and possibly parrots. So I really am going to focus on my color choices from the color wheel in creating these small portraits. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're wondering how to draw faces, just remember I have a book out on how to draw faces and I'll leave the link in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.